Ever wondered what happens inside a child's mind when they're caught in the crossfire between two parents? Today we're talking about something far more damaging than just a messy divorce. We're talking about parental alienation. This isn't just one parent being mean about the other. It's a calculated form of psychological manipulation, and it can completely rewire a child's sense of safety, identity, and love. Imagine being a child constantly forced to choose a side. This isn't a game, it's a chronic loyalty conflict that creates enormous stress. The child is taught that one of their parents, someone they love, is suddenly bad or dangerous. This creates a deep confusion. They start to think, if that parent is bad and I'm a part of them, what does that make me? Their self-image becomes distorted and fractured. This manipulation erodes their emotional security. The child learns that safety only exists with the alienating parent, the one who controls the entire story. They start to feel guilty for even thinking about, let alone loving, the targeted parent. It's a heavy burden of shame for a child to carry. This experience teaches them a devastating lesson. Relationships equal betrayal. To protect themselves, they might become emotionally numb or develop a deep fear of intimacy, because they've learned that bonding with someone just leads to drama and pain. A child's identity is built like a puzzle, with pieces from each parent. When one parent is systematically erased from their life, it leaves a gaping hole in that puzzle. It's no surprise that this chronic stress puts their nervous system on high alert, leading to anxiety, depression, and unexplainable anger. They learn to suppress their own feelings to avoid upsetting the alienating parent, a survival skill that can have lifelong consequences. The long-term risks are serious. Children of alienation are at a much higher risk for mental health issues in adulthood, especially relational trauma and crippling self-doubt. Now, let's talk about the targeted parent. If you're going through this, you know this heartbreak intimately. You feel completely powerless. Every attempt to love your child is met with punishment. You're trapped in a state of chronic grief, mourning a child who is still alive but has been turned against you. This emotional turmoil makes you doubt your own worth as a parent. You're filled with shame and guilt, even though you've done nothing wrong. Every passing day feels like an enemy, and the fear of losing that precious bond forever is constant. The loneliness is crushing. Friends, family, and even the court system often don't understand the psychological warfare you're facing. You're left with this impossible mix of intense anger and utter hopelessness. And let's not forget the financial strain. The legal battles required to fight for your child can drain every resource you have. The mental health toll is immense. Anxiety, depression, and trauma symptoms are not just possible. They're an expected outcome of this horrific experience. Your very identity is attacked because being cut off from your role as a parent strikes at the very core of who you are. A common question is, can a child develop complex PTSD or CPTSD from parental alienation? The answer is a resounding yes, absolutely. CPTSD arises from long-term emotional instability, fear, and relational trauma. Parental alienation is a textbook example of an environment that creates these conditions. A child living through this experiences constant emotional manipulation. They live in fear of disappointing the alienating parent, which forces them into a state of hypervigilance. They suffer from identity confusion, emotional invalidation, and the loss of a secure, loving relationship. This chronic stress is a perfect recipe for childhood relational trauma, which is the very foundation of CPTSD. So if a child develops CPTSD from prolonged alienation, it's not because they are weak. It's because no child is emotionally equipped to survive that kind of psychological tug-of-war. So, how do you expose something so subtle and manipulative? This is the hard part, because alienation often hides behind phrases like, "I'm just concerned," or blames misunderstandings. Courts can easily miss it unless you present it clearly and strategically. First, document everything. Keep a detailed log of dates, times, manipulative comments, messages, refusals for visitation, and any sudden negative changes in your child's behavior. In a legal setting, facts will always speak louder than your emotions. Second, keep your communication with the other parent neutral and child-focused. Alienators thrive on emotional reactions. Don't give them ammunition they can twist and use against you. Stay calm and businesslike. Third, save all evidence of interference. This includes screenshots of blocked calls, texts showing canceled visits, recordings of hostile handovers, or notes on every time you hear the phrase, "the child doesn't want to go." Keep a file for any false accusations made against you. Fourth, find a trauma-informed therapist who understands parental alienation. A professional can identify the patterns of manipulation and create official reports that carry weight in court. If the situation is severe, you can ask the court for a psychological evaluation of the family, which can officially expose these destructive dynamics. Fifth, highlight the behavioral changes in your child. When a child who once adored you suddenly rejects you without any logical or real cause, that is a massive red flag for alienation. Explain the before and after to the court. And this is critical. Never, ever badmouth the other parent. It keeps you on the moral high ground, and most importantly, it protects your child from more emotional harm. Be the stable, consistent, and loving parent. Courts and other professionals notice the parent who remains calm and child-centered amidst the chaos. You might also consider requesting a guardian ad litem or a child advocate. These neutral third parties are trained to investigate and may see the dynamics more clearly than a judge can in a brief hearing. Finally, show your history of positive parenting. Compile photos, videos, school records, notes from teachers, anything that demonstrates the strong, loving bond you had with your child before the alienation began. This paints a powerful picture of what has been lost. I want to end on a note of hope. I know it feels impossible right now, but please hold on to this truth. Children who are alienated often come back later in life. When they grow up and gain perspective, they often return with clarity and profound regret for the time that was stolen from them. Your bond may be strained, but it is not broken. Love leaves a permanent imprint on a child's heart, even if it gets buried for a while. Your love is still there, waiting. Thank you for watching and for allowing us to discuss this incredibly important topic. If this video resonated with you, please consider liking and subscribing for more content that supports you on your journey. Stay strong.